The moment the sticky honey hit his face, the entire room burst into laughter, and if you listen closely, you can almost hear the sound of a man's dignity shattering under 1,000 careless eyes. Phones rose like weapons. Fingers pointed. Someone shouted, "That's what you get." In that instant, a quiet man stood soaked in humiliation, golden liquid dripping from his hair to his shoes, while the crowd enjoyed what they thought was entertainment. What no one in that glittering room knew, what no one even imagined, was that the man standing there in silence owned every single company that paid their salaries. And in less than 1 hour, every life in that room would tilt in a direction they never saw coming. Mr. David Okoro was one of the richest men in the country, a billionaire whose name made boardrooms fall silent and whose signature could move markets overnight. In business circles, he was known as the silent giant, precise, disciplined, unstoppable. Yet outside the glass towers and private jets, David was invisible. He liked it that way. He had grown up sleeping on cold cement floors, counting coins for bread, learning early that poverty didn't just empty your pockets, it tested your soul. When wealth finally came, David made a vow to himself: money should change lives, not inflate egos. So from time to time, he went undercover, dressed as an ordinary man, to see how people truly treated those they believed had no power. That afternoon, David walked into Crown Heights Lounge, a luxury event hall hosting an elite networking brunch. The chandeliers glowed like frozen sunlight. The air smelled of expensive perfume and entitlement. Entry cost more than most people earned in a month, but David owned the place. Wearing plain trousers, a simple shirt, and worn shoes, he stood out immediately. Conversations dipped as eyes followed him. Whispers rippled across the room. Who invited him? Is he lost? This isn't a soup kitchen. David felt the judgment like a familiar weight on his chest, but his face remained calm. Across the room stood a cluster of young elites, children of wealth who had inherited comfort without ever earning character. At the center was Leo Grant, loud, arrogant, already drunk on privilege and champagne. Leo noticed David standing alone near the refreshment table, studying the room quietly, as if measuring it. "Yo!" Leo laughed, lifting a jar of premium honey meant to be paired with artisan bread. "Looks like the poor guy could use something sweet in his life." His friends roared with laughter. Someone immediately pulled out a phone. Another zoomed in, eager to capture humiliation for views. David felt the eyes burn into him, but he stayed still. He had survived hunger. He had survived loss. This was just noise. Leo staggered closer. "Hey, old man," he sneered. "You lost? Or you hoping someone here will save you?" Before David could answer, Leo flipped the jar. Thick golden honey poured down David's head, sliding over his face, soaking his shirt, clinging to his skin like mockery made physical. Laughter exploded. Someone shouted, "Sticky situation." Another yelled, "Someone get him bread." The room fed on cruelty like it was dessert. Honey dripped into David's eyes. His vision blurred, but he didn't move. He didn't shout. He didn't raise a hand. In that silence, something heavier than honey settled over the room, though no one noticed it yet. A young female staff member pushed through the crowd, her hands shaking. "Sir," she whispered, offering napkins, "are you okay?" David looked at her, his eyes gentle despite the sting. "I'm fine," he said softly. "Thank you for being kind." She nodded, swallowing tears, unaware that her simple compassion had just rewritten her future. Then the doors of the hall swung open. A group of executives in sharp suits rushed in, their faces tense, scanning the room with urgency. One of them spotted David instantly. "There he is," he shouted. They hurried forward. "Mr. Okoro, we've been searching everywhere. The board meeting is waiting." The laughter died mid-breath. Phones froze in mid-air. Leo's smile collapsed like glass under pressure. Wait," Leo stammered. Who did you say he is? The executive turned, voice sharp as steel. This is David Okoro, CEO of Okoro Global, owner of Crown Heights Lounge. The man funding half the companies represented in this room. Silence crashed down. Honey still dripped from David's clothes. Leo dropped the jar. His knees buckled. No, this has to be a joke. David slowly wiped his face and looked straight at him. You thought I was a nobody, he said calmly. You thought my appearance gave you the right to humiliate me. Leo fell to his knees. Sir, please. I didn't know. I was just joking. David's voice didn't rise. You weren't joking, he replied. You were revealing your character. Chapter 2. What happens next is the moment everyone remembers, the moment laughter turns into fear, and privilege realizes it has consequences. David turned to the event manager, his tone quiet but final. Anyone who laughed, he said, anyone who recorded instead of helping, he paused, letting the words sink into every guilty heart. They are banned from all my properties. Gasps rippled through the room. Careers cracked in that single sentence. Partnerships dissolved. Futures rerouted. Then David turned to the trembling staff member. What's your name? Ada, she whispered. You showed compassion when it mattered, David said. Starting tomorrow, you'll be my personal assistant. Ada burst into tears, covering her mouth as the weight of the moment crushed into gratitude. In a room full of wealth, kindness had been the rarest currency, and it paid the highest return. David faced Leo one last time. Honey is sweet, he said softly, but humiliation is bitter. Security escorted Leo and his friends out as they begged and cried, the echo of their downfall following them through the doors they once strutted through. Later that evening, after the hall emptied and the chandeliers dimmed, David stood alone, cleaned up, staring at his reflection in the mirror. Wealth hadn't protected him. Status hadn't saved him. But humility had revealed everything, every heart, every flaw, every truth. Ada approached quietly. Sir, she asked, still shaking, why didn't you stop them earlier? David smiled gently. Because sometimes people need enough rope to show who they really are. He walked out into the night, leaving behind a lesson carved into memory: never judge a person by their appearance. Never mock someone you don't understand. Because today's nobody could be tomorrow's boss, or worse, your downfall.